Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're doing a deep dive into some really interesting moves we saw today in the Singapore market.
Sounds good. Always exciting to see what's shaking things up.
Exactly. And we've got three companies on our radar today: OCBC, Semcorp Industries, and SingPost. To help me break it all down, we've got our expert with us.
Happy to be here.
All right, let's jump right in with OCBC. One of the big headlines that caught my eye was the news about them selling their stake in Hong Kong life insurance.
Oh, yeah. That was definitely interesting.
A cool $103 million, by the way. What's the story there? Why are they selling?
Well, at first glance, it looks like OCBC might be streamlining its portfolio, maybe focusing on sectors or regions with more growth potential.
I see. So they're kind of shifting their priorities around.
Could be. What's really interesting, though, is that OCBC's share price actually went up a bit before they even made the announcement.
Oh, really?
Well,
So maybe the market already had a feeling this was coming.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what else they might have planned.
Right. Always keeping us on our toes.
And something else I noticed in the announcement, they mentioned that OCBC would be ceasing to be associated with Hong Kong Life. What does that even mean, and what are the implications of that?
That's a good question. It does make you wonder about their long-term plans in Hong Kong. Are they pulling out completely, or is this just some kind of strategic shift? I'd definitely be keeping an eye on their next moves to see what direction they're heading in.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to Semcorp Industries. They're celebrating the completion of their big renewable energy project in Oman,
Yeah, that Greenfield project.
and they finished it a whole 4 months ahead of schedule. Pretty impressive, right? Especially
Yeah.
for such a massive project.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Finishing ahead of schedule is always a good sign. And it's not just about being efficient. Semcorp actually said this project will be accretive to earnings per share.
Accretive.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for us regular investors?
Basically, it means this project is likely to boost their profits. And that's good news for anyone who owns Sembcorp shares.
Got it. So more money for them, potentially more money for us. Makes sense. But this early success in Oman, do you think it's a sign that Sembcorp is going all in on renewables?
It's definitely possible. I mean, everyone knows the renewable energy sector is booming right now. Maybe this is Semcorp's way of getting a bigger piece of the pie.
Yeah, and this project could give them the confidence to try even bigger and bolder renewable projects, right?
Absolutely. Success breeds success, as they say.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about SingPost. Things have been, well, a little messy over there, haven't they?
Yeah, there's been a bit of a shakeup.
The termination of those three senior executives has definitely gotten people talking. What do you make of all the chatter from stakeholders?
It's definitely a lot to process, but one thing that stood out to me was SingPost's focus on making sure the process was fair for those executives. They were really emphasizing that everyone had a chance to share their side of the story, which is important for maintaining a positive image, especially after something like this.
It makes sense that they'd want to avoid any accusations of unfair treatment. But there was that slight dip in their share price right after the news broke.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Makes you wonder, do you think investors are maybe a bit worried about what these executive changes mean for SingPost's future?
It's definitely possible. I mean, big leadership changes, especially at the top, can make investors a bit uncertain. They'll probably want to see how SingPost handles this transition before making any big decisions.
So basically, a wait-and-see approach for now.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got OCBC potentially changing direction, Semcorp making big moves in renewable energy, and SingPost dealing with a leadership challenge.
Three very different situations, for sure.
It's amazing how much can happen in just one day on the market.
It really is, and that's what makes it so fascinating to follow.
Totally agree. Well, this deep dive has been incredibly insightful. Thanks for helping us break it all down.
Anytime. And hey, before we wrap up, I wanted to leave you with something to think about. We've talked about three very different companies today, but what does all of this tell us about the bigger picture in Singapore? Are there any underlying trends or shifts happening beneath the surface?
Ooh, that's a great question to ponder.
It is, and maybe, just maybe, by paying attention to these individual stories, we can start to see those larger trends emerge.
Definitely something to keep in mind. Thanks again for joining us and offering your expertise.
Always a pleasure. Until next time.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll catch you on our next deep dive.